Welcome to a silver review. Today I'll be taking a look at Galio. I've already taken a couple quick plays of Galio. I think I played 5 games before I made this video. I played him in top, jungle, mid, and support. I'll be going over all of those roles in this video. First we're going to be taking a look at the jungle clear of Galio and his moveset. So as you just saw, Galio's Q throws out 2 slashes of wind that, when converging, do increased damage over time as well as on impact to an area of effect. That's the move I always choose to take first on Galio. It's quite good for his jungle clear, makes the Raptor camp absolutely no problem. Next we have Galio's E, which is a simple charge. Takes about a quarter of a second to get ready, then you burst forward. Anything that you hit is knocked up in the air. It's quite good for engages, and it does a decent amount of damage in the jungle. Lastly, we have his W, which is a taunt, but requires you to actually channel it for a few seconds. During the time where you are channeling it, you actually gain a damage reduction on yourself as well. So it can be used as an escape as well as an engage tool. So for my first clear, I went red buff to Raptors, over to blue buff, and then I went to Scuttle. I did not do a very good job cutting any of the ads, and I came out of my clear with a ton of HP. Very easy jungle clear. It's not the fastest in the world, but it's going to lead into healthy ganks afterwards. I would definitely say that Galio's early ganks are pretty good due to his dash and his taunt. Top notch, actually. So once I took the second Raptor camp, I decided that their jungler probably wasn't on the top side because Raptors is pretty easy for Galio to take. I decided I was going to try to gank top while I still had red buff because I didn't have very much time left on it. And I think they had been fighting a little bit. So as I'm headed top, the other Galio has the same idea. My objective here was to E flash into Xin, knock him up, get the passive hit, get the Q, back off, and then kill him, which is kind of what happens, except I missed the E. So right here we're looking at the first ult. It's 20% DR, full knock up, into taunt, into death. Works out pretty well for us. So next I'm going to be looking at a team fight here. We are picking it up while I still have my ult on cooldown as well as flash and my smite. The objective here is going to be to get onto Xin. I would like to E into taunt him, but unfortunately we don't get the opportunity here. Ahri does present herself, so she gets E'd into, taunted, and then killed. Next we're going to back off here, land some poke, and then it kind of all goes to shit. I think I flash for an auto in a second, and then we get a good chase, kill Lucian, and Zen, and Sion. Overall, the things I have to say about Galio in the jungle are that he has a very easy clear, he has good early ganks. If you can learn to use his ult, he is absolutely fantastic. And he is a big meat tank in the end game. He's very tough, very hard to kill, and brings a lot of CC. Something, again, similar to what a Nautilus would bring, but I think he's better in the jungle. Next, I'd like to talk about Galio as a support. I only played 1 game of him. I was with an Ezreal. I decided to play him similar to a Leona. Again, I started with Q, and I tried to use it to kind of poke them out a little bit. I went with the Relic Shield for a little bit of sustain for my laner. How I found him to work was sort of like a Leona, maybe. I used the E in that form, and then instead of having the Q stun that you'd have on Leona, you have the taunt, and then you actually, I feel like, have a little bit more damage than the Leona would bring. I think he works alright. The early levels were hard, but then again, the melee matchup on any melee, the melee versus range matchup on any support is going to be a bit of a struggle. Lee does end up cleaning this up for us here, but it could have been better executed for sure. So when it comes to trading, I feel like Galio is very strong. If you land the taunt plus the Q combo, especially if you've held the taunt for a couple seconds, the amount of damage that you do is going to be substantial. You will win those trades very easily, and if you could actually land the E, I think we might have actually been able to turn this into a kill or maybe a double kill. As far as a full understanding of how Galio performs as support, I don't know if I would expect him to be a top performer. I feel like he does bring a decent amount of CC with his E and his taunt, but he doesn't have the same amount of tankiness as a support as he does when he is a top laner or a jungler. So I don't know if I would strongly recommend him, unfortunately. And even though you do bring a decent amount of CC, I feel like there are better laners to accompany an AD carry. We do end up picking up the win again in this game, but it's not due to me. It's due to the other folks in the game. Lastly, we're going to look at Galio here as a solo laner. Here I have the pleasure of laning against a Malphite, where my shield for my W will give me quite a bit of value because he can't use his Q on me effectively. And as long as I don't let him get his shield back from his passive, he shouldn't be able to bully me out. So again, using the Q to poke, taunt with the W, hold it down for as long as I can, especially if they're going to try to trade with me, and then move into the passive hit and another Q if you can. Here I just did one full rotation, auto, Q, W, E, and I was able to push him out of lane pretty much right away. This is one of those highlight plays that everybody's been posting here, but we get the 4-man knock-up, I get the auto, and then I get the Q. Unfortunately, Yasuo does go down after 2, but then we get the follow-up 3v3 here. The Q into a couple autos with the E. Works out pretty well. We'll clean up another 2 of them. Here we show how late game Galio can tank. I spoke about how as a support he doesn't really shine because you don't have the health pool, the armor, the MR to be able to sustain for long fights. Here I make a mistake. I teleport up the top to try to help my jungler out, taking a fight that I have no place being in. But as you can see in this 3v1, I last forever. My taunt giving me the DR, the knockups, the health pool, it all just leads to me lasting a very long time and actually being able to escape that. Unfortunately, Blitzcrank did die, but I lived. And now for some final thoughts on solo lane Galio. I did try a game where I built him with a lot of AP rather than tank, and I found him relatively lackluster in the late game. I do think as a tank he will have a place at least in soloQ for quite a while. I don't know if we're going to see him in pros because I can't evaluate a champion on that level. I do feel like the things that you bring other champions also bring to the table. Nautilus comes to mind, but for MR tanks, the passive that you're going to end up getting on your W plus the DR that you get, damage reduction that you get when you press the W, the active for the taunt, I think he will definitely have a place at least in soloQ, and I can definitely see the value in having him on your team. Whoa! Why are there 2 people top? Thanks for watching my first episode of a Silver Review. If you have any comments, please feel free to leave them. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them as well. It's my first video, so I know I have a lot to improve on. and I'll be doing these in the future. Thank you. Play safe. Guys, I'm never gonna level up or get CS or anything. I'm just doomed. Call me Dyrus. Call me Dyrus, because all I want to do is play League of Legends.